So it's a beautiful sunrise on Anacapa Island and Channel Islands. We heard this all night long. And this isn't even, like, I don't know where they go during the night, but there's got to be tens of thousands of them here. They say it's the largest nesting ground for seagulls in North America. This one island. Bizarre. Girls are still sleeping. Pablo in his pink tent. Robert, he had pretty strong winds overnight, and I thought at one point my little tent there was going to fly up and fly out. Robert's, I think, did, and about 2 o'clock he had to come and I handed him the mallet so he could re-stake his tent. I think Pablo slept through it all. Neighbors are up. Neighbors are up. Yesterday, Robert and I saved a baby seagull. All of a sudden, all these large adult seagulls were attacking it and killing it. So Robert and I jumped in and saved it. This is amazing.
So another very memorable time of this trip. I'm glad no one got hurt, but I'm glad that it turned out the way that it did, because it turned into just an amazing and funny story. So we had come back to our campsite, and across the trail there was another campsite that had a group of guys that were there on a bachelor party, and they had carried in all this equipment, and they really overdid it. So they were making dinner on their Coleman camp stove, and the hose going to the propane tank caught fire, and they started yelling and screaming, and let me just set the scene for you. So my friend Pablo is in the outhouse, he's in the bathroom. Robert and I are talking, and Robert's looking over my shoulder, and he's watching all of this happen, and my back's to it, and he sees the fire catch the hose and start to move down toward the propane tank. And he's like, oh, you've got to see this. So I turned around, and we're sitting here watching this, and there were about 7 or 8 guys over there just yelling and screaming, and they were trying to stop it. They didn't know what to do. So their solution was to push the Coleman camp stove off the table onto the ground and hope that, I don't know what hoped. So what happened is when they pushed it off the ground, the fire went bigger, and it caught 2 of their camp chairs on fire. So we've got the hose going to the propane tank and the 2 camp chairs on fire on a very dry and brittle island where there is no boat that would be able to, that was scheduled to come back and pick us up until the next afternoon at 3 o'clock. So we're sitting there watching this happen, and I'm watching the fire come down the hose toward the propane tank, and the way that it was, the nozzle was actually faced away from us. So my thought is it was going to come down, it was going to hit that nozzle, it was going to take off, and it was going to be a projected missile, and it was aimed right at Robert and I. It would kill us. So I was trying to get Robert back behind one of the metal boxes, our food box, that we put there for animals. And Robert thought that the propane tank was going to go up in the air and come down and explode and set the island on fire, and then we'd be trapped in a burning island with no way to get off the island until a boat got over there, which would be pretty traumatic as well, pretty devastating. So while we're doing this, all of a sudden we hear the guys scream, "Duck!" And so they ducked, and the propane tank just exploded. And we were probably, I don't know, 25, 30 yards away, and we felt the blast from it from there. And to give you an idea of how many seagulls were actually on the island, and we don't have a video of this, Robert and I were kind of kicking our butt that we weren't, when we first saw the fire, we didn't pull our phone out and start recording it. But to give you an idea of how many seagulls, all the seagulls that could fly took off, and I am not kidding, it blocked out the sun. It actually got dark over the island for a couple of seconds. It was crazy. So no one got hurt. It was an incredible experience. Now, the other funny thing about that is, like I said, my friend Pablo was in the bathroom. He didn't see any of this. He just heard the explosion, so he thought we were playing jokes on him, and we had thrown firecrackers or an M80 into the tank, and was yelling at us throughout, or out of the outhouse, to stop playing jokes on him. He had no clue that that outhouse could have been blown to pieces. So anyway, that was a fun, very memorable experience that at least Robert and I will have. Unfortunately, Pablo will remember the sound, but not quite the same experience, but it was amazing. Sorry, Pablo, you missed it. It was an awesome bonding experience for the three of us. These are two of my best friends, and I'm so glad that we were able to do that, because it was an incredible trip. It was so much fun, even though it was so not what we had expected it to be intentionally.